Got it. Okay, so it does actually record automatically. Okay, so we're officially in then.
Is it a problem that it's going to record for 5 minutes?
Let everybody know that we are going to be recording today's session. So you might have just gotten a little notification that we are recording our training session for today. And let me go ahead and introduce myself and Krista here. I am Jen Leacock. I am the product manager for RedTeam Go. And I have Krista Starr here as well, who's going to be doing quite a bit of the demonstration and training for today. And she's our technical writer, QA person over here at RedTeam Go as well. So thank you guys for taking your time today to actually join the session and learn a little bit about our budget upgrade. Some of you may have already heard a little bit about it. In fact, some of you may even have this activated because we do have some of our clients using it already. That is going to be one of the topics we will talk about in today's session after we've done the actual training part. Is we'll go a little bit over when you should expect to see this live in your particular company's site. And so we'll go over that after we do questions as well at the end. But I do want to kind of give us a little bit of a summary of this upgrade, give you guys a little bit of important information about it before we start getting into the details. And so a couple of important points for you guys all to know is that this upgrade that we are doing for budget is something that is going to, once activated for your site, is not going to affect your jobs that you already have in will start soon status or in progress. So that's just one thing to note, right? When we do get this turned on, you will not have to worry about this suddenly changing or affecting your jobs that you're already in progress, you're already working on. So that's an important thing to note. Now, it will affect new projects, right? So again, once it's upgraded, your new projects will be able to start using this. But that way you don't have to, be concerned at all about any major changes to jobs you already have ongoing. So just a really important note there. In addition to the upgrade that happens when you're in progress, one thing to mention is that the will start soon status will actually go away. This is something that is being eliminated. So with those new projects, like I just mentioned, when you do set up a new project, those are going to automatically move from pending to in progress. They won't have the will start soon. And what that's really being replaced with is a process to lock your budgets. We're going to be talking about that. Krista's going to show a little bit more of how that works with locking and unlocking budgets. That'll be one of our topics for today. As well, in addition to that, this whole upgrade is also combining some screens. So the purpose here is to give you some more tools, but also to, make it easier for you to do more things in one place. So eliminating certain screens and being able to do some of that work that you otherwise had to go to other places, for example, to award your subcontractors, being able to do that directly from your budget. So a nice change there that, again, we'll get into the details of in today's session. So that's the basics. I'm also going to share with you guys a document that will be available that you can start to read a little bit of a summary. I'm going to talk at the end a little more about that, where you can get help and support and review documentation on the changes. In addition to talking about when to expect the upgrade. We'll do that after. As far as questions go, an important note about questions, if you have not joined one of our sessions or webinars before in Zoom like we're doing today, you can look for on your screen the Q&A section. There is a Q&A box. There's a button actually at the bottom you'll be able to find. It says Q&A. You can click on that and you can go ahead and ask questions at any point throughout this session. Please feel free to do that. Some of those questions we'll go ahead and answer, as Chris is presenting, and some of those we'll wait till the end and we'll share those answers with everybody. So, but feel free to submit them at any point. You don't have to wait till the end. Just go ahead and put those in whenever a question pops up. That's totally fine. That's the purpose of today's session, is we really do want to show you this upgrade, show off the new features, show you what to expect. and let you have an opportunity to ask us some questions about it. That is the whole point of today's session. So thank you again for joining us for this. We're really looking forward to showing you these cool upgrades. All right, that should get all of my big items out of the way, so we should be good to go. I'm gonna turn it over to Krista and let her continue to share the screen and show us a little bit of this budget worksheet.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm Krista Starr, and I've been with Go, the Go product, probably about 9 years. So 5 years in development. So some of you may remember me from years past working in other departments. We have needed this update for a long time. So I'm very excited that it's finally going to be out for you all to be able to use. So as Jennifer mentioned, one of the most noticeable things is that we are eliminating the status that was called will start soon, right? So if you're in a project that's in pending, it's only going to give you the option to set it to in progress now. So we're going to go through and walk through what this process looks like and talk about some things. So a lot of it's going to be the same as it used to be when you moved stuff to will start soon. It's just not going to be called that anymore. It will be called the unlocked status. All right. So the first thing it always asks is for you to confirm that your project total is correct. And that's what we're going to do. It will still ask the same information. There's some required information that you have to have in order to be able to put this item out. So this is the same as you had before. So we're going to go ahead and set it to in progress. It will still ask to send your budget report, job setup report, and then budget report to the accountants. If you don't want to send this for whatever reason, you're in there testing or whatever, you can uncheck the individuals and then click proceed. And it will just bypass that for you. The next thing that it's going to do is it's going to take us into the markup tools. So for those of you who have moved forward before into Will Start Soon, you know that if you have any labor burden or sales tax, it will ask you what you'd like to do with those calculated costs, they were called. So that's what this is. We've streamlined this and to make it a little bit easier and to give you some more information on this. So the first thing, if you have labor burden or sales tax, it will ask you what you want to do with these. If you don't have those, it will just skip right over and put you onto the budget. So in this case, it's asking me what I want to do with labor burden. Do I want to keep it with a cost item, or do I want to move it to the overhead cost code? We've added some information so that you can see what the percentage was, what that amount is that you'd be keeping or moving. If you would like to keep it with the cost code, just click save. If you'd like to move it to the overhead, then you can press skip, or you can be picky and uncheck certain ones and click save, and it will make whatever selections you make will be applied. So for this one, I'm just going to skip. So it will move it, and it's going to confirm that that's what I'd like to do. And then the next one, it's going to ask me about a sales tax. We have updated this so that you can now handle all the sales tax from all the different cost types. So it used to be that you could really only put the sales tax on the material and equipment items. You can now apply that sales tax and handle that sales tax for all the cost items. Another nice updated feature here is that it used to be it was sort of like a one shot, one kill, like you got one opportunity. We've set it up so that if you do need to go back and make an adjustment and ask us to move the project back for you, you'll be asked again what you'd like to do with those. So if you make a mistake, there's a way around it this time. So that's a nice little update. All right, so I'm going to click save on this. I'll keep these items with my cost codes. And then when I'm done with that, what it does is opens up the new budget worksheet for me. So one of the things, let me make it a little larger so that you can see it better on your screen. So one of the things you'll notice is over here on the left-hand side, these two columns, bid amount and budgeted amount, these look like the old Will Start Soon budget worksheet. So this is the area where you would still be able to do the same tasks you did before when you were in Will Start Soon, but you're now in what we call the unlocked budget state. So you'll be able to set up your construction budget, move money around, do whatever you need to do in the budgeted column, just like you did in Will Start Soon. So one of the reasons a lot of people didn't do this work in Will Start Soon was because it didn't really track what money was moved. There was no real record of what happened in Will Start Soon. we've also resolved that we will now be tracking any movement of funds that you do. So if I were to come in here and maybe reduce the amount that I want in this cost item, it is going to record it over here in our adjustment log. So let me click on that and just give you a quick look at it. The adjustment log is going to keep track of everything that you did. It will be collapsed like this, but you can expand all the items or just expand them one by one. So there's going to be a lot more what we call RedTeam metadata available about what you did and when and who did it. So you'll be able to use this information to figure out what happened if you ended up with an issue. We're also making sure that we record things that were not specifically recorded before, so that you can go back and backtrack and see what was done. It's going to show what I did with the labor burden and sales tax, and then any movements of funds that I make. It will have a start and end date. You can search individually just by a particular cost item to drill down, or you can do it by cost category. So if you just wanted to see your subcontractor or your labor items, you'd be able to filter to those. So this is a great enhancement we're very excited about. All right. So the other things that you can do when you're in the unlocked state, you can add cost items to the project. So if you click on add cost items and just find the cost code that you'd like to add, you can add funds right here, or you can add them later once they're on the worksheet. The choice is yours. You can add multiple items. So I've just got one here, but you can add multiple items at a time. And it's going to add those items, and it's going to keep track of all of those changes for you. So what can you do when you're in the unlocked state? The same things that you could do before when you were in will start soon. So you're still going to be able to write subcontracts. You're going to be able to write purchase orders, and those items will show up in the actuals as you do that work. So that is the same. When you are ready to do change orders or to do billing, you would then want to go in and lock your budget, and we'll do that step. But first I want to show you that we have moved what you're all familiar with, the award subs page. I'm sure you work on that all the time. That will go away in the new projects, because this page is going to be your award subs page. If you just want to work with your .s cost codes, you'll be able to filter to just them. So it'll look very similar to the way that it was when you worked on the award subs page, but we've enhanced it a bit. So if I were to come over here and hover over a cost code and click on it, there is an item menu that you'll see appear here. And this area where it says subcontractor management is where you'll do your awarding. So if you open that, we have an enhanced feature over here where you're going to be able to get a little bit more insight into projects that are already awarded to them and what other cost items they might be able to have awarded to them. Any insurance information is available for you to see here, so that you don't have to go over into the contract. Here under additional tasks performed, what this is doing is it's looking at the trade types for this subcontractor, and it's comparing it to the cost codes that are on this project. So if you want to award additional cost items to them right from here, you can do that and just click award tasks. So that's another enhancement we've made here. Also below that, in the ongoing projects section, this shows you if this subcontractor is already working on other projects with you, and when they might be complete with those projects, what the amount is that's been awarded to them, and if they've been terminated on a project, which creates a negative change order and allows you to then award that to someone else. It'll also show that to you here, so that you have an idea, a bit better insight into what's going on with the subcontractor before you award a cost code to them. And of course, you can change, it'll show you all the subcontractors in your database that are qualified for this. You'll select one individual from the company to assign it to, because there always has to be an email address and a name on the contract, right? And then all you have to do is click award tasks, and it'll take care of that for you. Over here, it will show you in the contract section if you've selected a subcontractor, or if you had used a subcontractor's quote when you were in bidding as your quote, then obviously it pulls forward with their information in the contract area, but you can certainly change that. So we talked about adding costs, the adjustment log. I just want to point out quickly before we move forward, that down at the bottom of this form, you also see there's a summary with the original budget and the current budget line. And this shows you a running total of the amount of money that's in the cost items and the overhead and profit. And if a contract total changes, you would see that as well. This will be filtered to whatever you have sorted on the worksheet. So if I want to see the entire contract amount, right now I've got just .s here, so that's what it's showing me. If I want to go back and look at everything, I can switch over to the all tab, and it's going to then show me the totals for everything. So this information was available on your budget report. Typically, we added it at the bottom here so that you don't have to go and open that report if you want to check on those numbers. And once we lock it, you'll see that there's some other items that show up down here. So I'm going to go ahead and do a lock right now. If you have any questions about this, I don't know, Jennifer, have you seen anything come in yet that before I go ahead and lock?
We did have one actually, Krista, if you did want to answer this one, I figured it'd be a good one for us to answer live. The question is, does the calendar days and time frame for the project start when you lock the budget or based on the contract date?
It's going to be whatever you selected as the contract date. And if you want to change that, you can still change that before there are any change orders. You can change that from the schedule. You've always been able to go in and change that date from there. Once you have your first owner change order, that's usually when that date gets set, because it needs to count additional days that may be added by change orders. So good question.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah, great question. Yeah, it's a good one. And so, yeah, it's not dependent on locking. In fact, and I don't know, Chris, if you already mentioned it, but once you've locked it, if you haven't, started doing change orders and stuff, you'll be able to unlock the budget as well. So the locking is not dependent on that.
And if you, same as before, if you do end up locking it and you've made a change and you realize you need to go back, you can always contact client experience, and they'll take a look at your transactions, make sure you're not going to lose anything, nothing's going to go wrong, and then we'll be able to move the project back for you. But so just think of this unlocked state as the same way that it was when you were in Will Start Soon. You have the same capabilities, but you have a little bit more convenience and oversight. All right. And I just want to point out, we do have a tour button here. We can take a look at the end, but it will have a separate tour that you can trigger for when you're unlocked and when you're locked, if you need to review any of the information when you're in the project taking a look. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and lock the budget and show you what changes. So when you lock the budget, it'll just make sure you want to proceed. And what this does is set up the notification to the accountant that will send out the budget report. So they can have all the information about what numbers need to go into accounting software. If you have one that they move that information into. Same thing with this one. If you didn't want to send it for whatever reason, it's a test project, you can uncheck and then just click proceed, and it will bypass it without sending anything. All right. So now we are in the locked state. So what's changed here? Down here, the budgeted column is no longer editable, which was the same thing that happened when you moved to in progress. Those numbers get set. The changes column has been added. So now any internal change orders or any owner or subcontractor only change orders can now be captured. And then you'll notice in this current cell that there's a hyperlink. This is going to become what is essentially your internal change orders. So you will no longer see the internal change orders over on the change order page. You'll be moving all the funds in and out from here, adding any new cost items, making adjustments. So when I click on one of these, you'll notice that it opens this window that says budget adjustments. I can add or remove positive or negative amounts here, and it will move that money in and out of the cost code, and it will record that. It'll also ask for a reason. So you will need to put a little note in there to capture it for what movements you were making, so that you can refer to it as the project moves on, see what exactly was the reason that you moved it. If you were going to move money between two items, you can click multiple things on here, and you'll notice that it adds them over here. So if I wanted to nest these together to say, I've moved money out of this labor cost and into a subcontractor cost code, you'll be able to do that from here. And again, positive or negative values. So if I were to, take out 1,000 from here and put 1,000 here, it would nest those transactions together for me. And I can just put in quick note. And then once I save that, oops, it doesn't like it because I don't have anything here. So I'm going to go ahead and take it off and then it'll let me save. Okay, so this is how you do your internal change orders. You'll be able to move that money and it's all going to be recorded in the adjustment log. Okay, so I just made that movement. You can see that transactions are starting to build over here in the adjustment log. And the reason, so whatever you type in there is what's going to end up below, giving you insight into what was done. Okay. So I'm actually going to switch over to a project that I already have that has some change orders and things so that I'll be able to show you a little bit more detail as we're looking through it. So let me just collapse this, make this a little larger for you. So that we talked about the current column here. The actuals column, this is going to show you any committed costs that you already have here. So that would be any purchases that you've made, any subcontractor amounts that you've committed, or any labor that has, been time cards that have been approved. Those will show up in the actuals column. You'll see a running total of those items. So if you wanted to drill down into those details, you can still go over to the job cost or go to the owner versus actual report, and you'll be able to see those itemized transactions that have added to each of these. But this is just a total for you so that you can see quickly how much have I spent on this? What do I still have sitting in the cost code to spend? All right. The next column that you see over here, the potential change order column, this is going to show you if you have any changes or you have any unapproved owner change orders or sub change orders, and if you have any potential change orders from the PCO area. If those items are awaiting an owner approval, you will see those values show up in the potential change orders. So any unapproved change order, regular change order signed by a GC will show up here, but not yet approved by an owner, and any potential change orders that you have posted on site. So that means you check the box in the PCO area to make it visible to the owner. That's what would make it show up in this column. Once those are accepted or approved, then they'll be removed from the potential change order column and they'll show up in the changes. Okay. And then the next thing I want to show you is a new feature that we've gotten requests for before. It is the forecast. So if I come up here to this toggle that says forecast and I click that on, oh, it's giving me an error because I slept too long. All right, if I turn my forecast on, you'll see that it opens up a column called the forecast column, right? So this column is really just a sandbox that you can use if you want to look at how what you anticipate you'll spend or save on a particular cost item. You can enter values in the forecast and it will update your projected amounts over here so that you can get some insight into where you think you're going to end up. So this really is just a what if column for you. If you have it turned on and you've put values in here, you'll also notice down at the bottom that there's a forecasted budget row. So any changes that you make here, I have $3,000 that looks like I moved out of a cost code. I'm anticipating that I'll save and it would go to profit. That is going to show up in the forecasted area for me. It is not actually going to move any money on the project. It is just a what if column for you. If you really do want to execute one of those changes, you would either go and make an adjustment on the budget adjustment, or if it was a .s cost code, you'd have to make a change order to move those funds if it was locked already. All right, so if you turn the forecast off, the numbers do stay in the background. It's just going to hide it so that you don't have to look at that extra row while you're working on other things. So just know that it's back there and any of the values that you enter into it will stay there. So you won't lose anything. And those values, so for the projected column that's next to that, this is going to be whatever you have in your cost code, your current amount, plus any potential change orders like we talked about. And if you have the forecast turned on, it will also include those values. Okay, so this is really just another way for you to look ahead and see how much you're anticipated to spend on a particular cost item. The over under column, this is just going to be a tally across the row that shows you the difference between where you started with the funds and how much you've spent thus far. If it's negative over here, it means that it's, excuse me, you've been over, you're essentially over on it and you pulled some funds from profit. If it's a positive number, it usually means that you have moved money into profit. So this is just to give you sort of an idea of where you sit across the row. The number that it compares to is going to be the first row column. I want to point out this is an additional change that was made. When I locked this project, it changed this column. It used to say bid amount and now it says owner amount. That's because now going forward, if I have owner change orders, it is going to start adding those as owner committed amounts here. So for example, let me see if I've got one where I have an owner amount. So in this case right here on this concrete cost code, if you can see this one, it shows me that my owner amount is $18,000, but that I've only committed, my current that I've spent is this $14,000. In addition to the amount that was bid, any additional change orders that get approved will show up in the owner amount column. But if I want to go back and see what that original bid amount is, or look at the additional amounts that were added by change order, I can view the item details on this from this cost item menu. So if I open this up, you'll see, in addition to us having whatever bidding markups you had, there's also going to be an owner amount section at the bottom that shows you what the estimated amount originally was from your bid. So this is your bid amount. And then if there's any additional owner change orders that have contributed to that amount, you're going to see those here as well. Clicking the hyperlink will take you over to the change order page. So we've tried to make that easy for you. But this is one change that we've made here and also on the budget report, because we want to give you better insight into how much money the owner's committed and how much you've spent right next to each other on the page. All right. So that is under the cost item details or view item details. And you'll see that for all the different cost codes. Other items that you see on this menu, the duplicate cost item and terminate subcontract, both of those have come over here from the internal change order menu. So if you need to duplicate an item, maybe you have a lot of concrete work and you had a large budget for it, but you need to split it up between two subcontractors, that's what you would use duplicate cost item for. And this will allow you to just go in and change the description. It will keep the same cost code number. You can change the description, enter the amount that you would like to move and split from the original total while you're doing that. And then you can save it and it will create a new line item that you can award to a different subcontractor. This is something that we had. It was a lot more complicated. If you did it on the internal change order menu, it used to be really tricky. So we've simplified this process for you as well, because I know that is a common question. People will say, how come I can't award a cost code to the same subcontractor, or to do the same cost code to two different subcontractors? So this allows you to be able to split that up. Terminating a subcontractor, that also has been improved. Anybody who's made a mistake in terminating a subcontractor before, I think you're going to like it a lot better this way, because we've made it possible, made it so that it only is negative for you to be able to take away. If you're terminating, you're removing a certain amount, so you won't have those mistakes that sometimes could be made if it was a positive amount. Also, we're having it sign the termination subcontractor change order when you terminate, so that there aren't any issues. We've had people delete that change order that gets made. So we've streamlined this process to try and put a few protections and make this a little easier for you. Okay. So viewing adjustments, this one just allows you to drill down to just the items that are in the adjustment log for that cost code. So you can take a quick look from here, or you can go to your adjustment log, either way. So let me see. The only other items that I think we needed to cover, where we would look for questions, we are updating the budget report. So on this, you'll see that the budget report looks slightly different. The budget report will have the owner amount column. So this will be your bid amount plus any change order amounts that have been made on that cost code. So commitments from the owner. The budgeted the changes in the current column, these are the same as they always were. They're going to show what money is in the cost code, which might not be the amount that the owner's committed, right? Some of that might have moved to profit. These items, just like on the budget worksheet, are going to be how much money is in the cost code. So this will show you the total of what's in the code, whereas this amount you can compare as you move through the project and see how much the owner has committed. So you can get a quick look at how that works. So that is the budget report. And then the only other item I think we wanted to mention is that if you have, it used to be that if you have potential change orders, it would bring in on the owner versus actual and some other reports, it would bring in the information about those pending change orders and how much money is on the table for those, for the cost codes that are already in your project. It did not show you if they were new cost codes that have not yet been added to the project. So one of the things that we've done is if you have pending or potential change orders on the table, you will see those values show up here. So you will see that the line will have a zero amount, but it will show it in the potential change order column so that you will see at the bottom your projected amount will include those potentials and it will include those numbers now. So this, projected total that you have should match whatever potential changes you have out to the owner, right? So I think that covers just about everything we wanted to hit on. I'll turn it over to Jennifer. Did we have any questions come in that we can address or?
Actually, not right now. So I will just kind of go ahead and say for anybody who watched that, I know, that was a lot of information to take in. If you have questions right now, please take a moment, put those in the Q&A. Again, if you joined a little bit later, I'll just kind of reiterate the Q&A as a button you'll see in Zoom. You can go, it's usually on the bottom or wherever you have your controls, and you can click on that Q&A and you can add some questions now if you have them. But I'm going to actually go over a little bit of a summary while we're taking some time if anybody wants to submit some questions. And then we'll talk a little bit as well here in just a moment about where you guys can get some help and things like that as well. Yes, one question that did come in, and that's a very good question, is can you send out a link to rewatch this webinar? Yes, absolutely. Those of you who registered and attended today's webinar will automatically get a link. But in addition to that, we're going to be including the recorded version of today's session as well to all of your other users before you get this upgrade, this budget upgrade as well. Another thing that just came in as well with that is talking about a list of these changes would be very helpful. I'm going to talk about that as well here in just a second. So before I show you that document, I do want to just kind of give a quick recap of everything that Krista just went over, right? So some just important things to note as a little bit of a recap for everybody is that once again, with this change, this budget upgrade, in addition to this nice new budget with all these columns you're seeing right here on the screen that Krista's sharing, that this does make some significant changes, such as eliminating the will start soon status. Right, that your projects, your new projects that are affected when you get this upgrade will not go into will start soon. They will automatically move from pending to in progress. They will skip that will start soon. And then what happens is you go directly into in progress with an unlocked budget. And you'll be able to then make some changes there. And when you're ready, you can lock that budget. And if you have not, progressed much further in the job, doing change orders and all of that, you can unlock the budget. So you'll have an unlock option there. If for whatever reason you get a little bit further, realize you need to make changes, it's the same process as it always was. You can contact us through chat, through your CSM, however is convenient for you, and we can help you. We can assist you with moving back into the unlocked stage, just like we used to do with the moving back to will start soon. So that's still the same process there. But in addition to that, this new nice upgraded budget worksheet also has combined some things into this screen, right? Like the award subcontractors page, as well as the internal change orders. So you're able to make adjustments directly to your budget items, and you don't have to do an internal change order. to do that. And we're going to see that the adjustments that Krista's showing, that's going to all get tracked in the budget adjustment log that we have. And we'll be able to go back and review that log at any point in the project and see what happened. What is the story that happened here? What changed? Who changed it? When? All detail. So all of that's going to be tracked. So that's just a quick recap of what we went over. Now, to talk here a little bit about how you guys are going to get a list of these changes. One thing that I do want to mention is that we are about to start the process of rolling this out to all of our existing clients. Now, some of you in this call may actually already have this upgraded budget worksheet, but many of you do not. So the question is, when can I expect to see these changes, right? We are going to be doing this in groups, rolling this out. And so our first group will be getting this on Monday. If you are part of that group, you and your other users are going to get an email this week from your CSM at RedTeam Go, letting you know that you are in that first batch of folks who will be getting this upgrade. If you don't get that email this week, you're not in that first batch. You'll be getting that email the week prior to you getting that upgrade. So you will actually be able to see that in the email. And that's where I was going to mention that in that same email that you're going to be getting from your client success manager, you will get a copy of the recording of today's webinar, just as a reminder, and also a document that we have that summarizes all of these changes. So the question that had come in about a list of these changes would be very helpful. Yes, agreed. A list of these changes will be very helpful. You will get a document that summarizes a list of all those changes. And so it'll actually talk about everything that's included in the update, what's changed, what to expect, all of that. That will be included. You will get that prior to your site getting this upgrade live. Now, something else that is important to mention there is, a question that might come up. What if I want it now? What if I don't want to wait 2 weeks for my site to get the upgrade? If that is the case, you can absolutely reach out to us and we can accommodate you in one of the earlier groups that is receiving this upgrade. We're doing them every Monday throughout the month of June. As you guys know, June is tomorrow, starts tomorrow, but every Monday of June, we're going to be doing a rollout with the upgrade for a certain set of clients. So like I said, you will be getting an email prior to that, letting you know. But if you would like that sooner, you can reach out to us. You can either reach out to your CSM that you work with, you can reach out via chat, or you can reach out directly to my team. And you can email us. Our email is product@redteam.com. You can feel free to send that and say, hey, I would like this upgrade sooner than later. That is fine, and we can accommodate you in an earlier group. That is perfectly fine if you are just really gunning to get it and really excited about it. I know we are. So if you would like to get that a little earlier, that is totally fine. All right. Besides that, I do want to mention about support. Where can you get support, right? Once you have this upgrade, what happens if you have questions, right? That's just like you get support now. So you can see Chris is kind of highlighting there our chat icon. So in that chat, we of course have a live chat where you can message our support team there and they can help you with that, of course. We also have documentation, right? You can search for in the help docs there for information about this. And also in addition to that, we're going to have tours. You guys are used to those in RedTeam Go, right? Throughout RedTeam Go, we have the ability to start tours. You can also see here on Krista's screen the tour button. So when you have this live in your site, when that's activated for your site, you will be able to go in and see that tour button, click it, and go ahead and follow the tour for a little bit more detail. We have trainers, right? If you need to set up a training session, all of that, you can reach out to us for that as well. But this is all very typical ways you would expect to get support. You'll be able to do that exactly for this upgrade as well. So definitely utilize those resources if you need to. All right, that is pretty much it. I don't have any other questions that have been submitted so far. again, if you come up with questions later, you can definitely reach out to us with those. Reach out via chat if you need to. But as far as, expecting this, at some point in June, you'll be getting this upgrade. So look out for the email from the CSMs on that. And then, of course, for the email that you'll get following this training session with the recording of today's session so that you can rewatch it if you would like to. Okay, Krista, I think unless you have anything else you want to wrap up with, we are pretty much good to go at this point. So once again, I'll just, finish saying, thank you guys for taking your time today to join this session. We do really, really appreciate it. We are really excited about this upgrade and excited for you guys to start using it. So any concerns, questions, anything like that, please feel free to reach out as you would usually and let us know if you have questions. We really appreciate your time. Thank you all.
Thank you.